I'm NAR's General Counsel, and for all of you who have encouraged me to do this, thank you. I'd rather do this than write a white paper. So the news, NAR settled $418 million, payable over 4 years. Doesn't appear, at least not in 2024, that there will be any increase in membership dues. I say that remains to be seen, but I'm sure they plan this out. I think it is, I will say this, it would appear to settle all claims for all members and probably all brokerages, or at least most, in the state of Montana, including MLSs, local associations, and the like. So generally speaking, and I would say overall, very good news, especially given the fact that it finally provides some finality as to certainly the financial aspect of this, but also to some degree, some of the standard operating procedures or rules. The thing that we'll have to figure out, and kind of the big news from the settlement, is the new rule that will go into effect apparently in mid-July, prohibiting any types of offer of compensation being offered to or communicated via the multiple listing service. Obviously, this will be a wholesale change to how realtors are compensated, especially buyer agents, because I think the vast majority, somewhere north of 90%, of buyer agents have typically been compensated in residential transactions via this method. But it isn't the end of the realtor world. It certainly isn't the end of being compensated as a buyer agent. And as NAR, we have already had a couple of calls, including a Zoom call, and we will be working through this, hopefully with some direction and assistance at NAR. But one of the things that we will now be discussing extensively at the upcoming forums meeting in April will be, what are some changes to forms that we will need to make. And on top of that, NAR will probably start trying to provide some information on what are some mechanisms by which we can now seek to structure compensation for buyer agents in light of the prohibition against offering compensation on the multiple listing service. This is good, I will say that. I'm sure NAR was reluctant to settle, but like I said, it not only provides certainty as to the financial side of things, which is really an NAR issue, but it provides certainty to all of us as to how to navigate these changing waters. And there is some information that we're going to have to figure out and some assistance we're going to have to provide, but we know now the parameters or sideboards within which to do so. One last thing I'll say is, you've still got the Department of Justice out there and the Federal Trade Commission. This is strictly Jaymie speaking, but it would appear to me that based on some of the rule concessions and agreements agreed to by NAR, that at least some of the more significant concerns addressed by the Department of Justice in some of the statements they publicly filed, this should address those concerns. Whether it will address all of them is yet to be seen, but I think this is probably going to be very helpful in eventually kind of putting the tumultuous past 6 months behind us. More to come. And again, thank you all who encouraged me to do this, and you'll be hearing more from me.